Well, it's the big day after the big primary election in Oregon, and hopefully you're as fascinated by politics as I am, because we are going to take a deep dive. Earlier today, I got a chance to talk through the governor's race a bit with two of the sharpest political folks I know. Len Bergstein, a political consultant who often works with Democrats, and Rebecca Tweed, a political consultant who often works with Republicans. They have great insights into what the numbers from last night tell us and where things go from here. My first question is, what surprised you?
I was not surprised by the outcome of the gubernatorial primaries for, Tina Kotek and Christine Drazan. I was surprised on the Republican side how high the next runner-up came, Bob Tiernan, and how some of the other races did not get as much support. But I think it's exactly what we anticipated, going into the general with three really strong female candidates, and a really interesting campaign to watch.
Okay, and Len, what about you? Were there any surprises?
Well, I think the difference in the race between Kotek and Reed was interesting. The spread, I think you have to consider it a bit of a blowout, and I don't think a lot of people were expecting that. I think we have to remember that these were primary voters, and primary voters are different than general election voters. They have a different profile, and they come looking for different things. So primary voters on the Democratic side came in looking for, I think, a progressive agenda. They rewarded particularly progressive women candidates in this race, Tina Kotek, for a record of accomplishment. On the Republican side, Rebecca can explain what Republican primary voters were looking for, but it seemed to be that they were somewhat fragmented amongst the angry and loud voters, and the remainder group consolidated around Christine Drazan with about the 20-25%. So you wind up having a result which is kind of consistent to where primary voters are, and may not tell us an awful lot about what the general election is going to look like.
Okay, and what about that, Rebecca? What were Republican voters looking for?
Well, I think Christine stood out because she ran a campaign and focused on the fact that she would be the best candidate in November. You didn't hear that from a lot of the other candidates. And I think to Len's point, running a campaign to the primary and who's coming out to vote there versus coming out in November, you need to be able to mention or reach your base and message to your base, but also tell people, you can count on me. Here's how this is going to go. I've worked against them before. I have a proven track record. And in the primary, you're trying to choose somebody that can be the winning candidate in November. And I think Christine was able to distinguish herself from the other candidates who were just running on message and able to point to that credibility and history that she has. But she's going to have a tough go against Tina Kotek and Betsy Johnson, absolutely.
So the morning after a win like this, what's it like in the campaign? What are you talking about? What's the strategy now?
Well, the first strategy would be to identify, all of the potential donors that you can bring to your side. And that becomes particularly important in this campaign because Betsy Johnson has raised so much money from, the traditional, strong Republican contributors. It's what's out there and how can I get that money so that we can start building our campaign to go forward. Particularly in Christine's, position, having run against these women or worked against these women before, trying to distinguish what her voting record has been to theirs.
And Len, what about you? What do you think it's like for the campaign the morning after? What are they focusing on?
First thing you're doing, I think, is consolidating your vote. So you basically, if you're Christine Drazan, you got to say, gee, I got 25% of the eligible votes in my bucket. And I got to go figure out a way to kind of unite that group in order to be able to have a base to then kind of launch with. Same thing with the flip side there with Tina Kotek. She's got to consolidate the base and kind of keep those people together with her. She thinks it's a winning coalition, and so she wants to make sure that that group of people stays with her. The next step is to begin to spin out, as Rebecca said quite eloquently, the narrative that kind of makes sense for why you appeal to the broader amount of Oregon voters.
With Drazan now the projected winner of the Republican primary, Oregon has made history. 3 women are running for governor in November. Oregon hasn't even had 2 women running for governor from major political parties, and now we have 3. We talked with Multnomah County Chair Deborah Kafoury about what this means for women in politics.
The fact that we have women in so many high positions of power in Oregon. You know, we have a Secretary of State who's a woman. We have a woman Supreme Court Justice. We have in Multnomah County, we have all 5 of our county commissioners are women. Clackamas County Chair, Washington County Chair, all women. It's not by accident, and I know that it's taken years and years and years of work on behalf of women all over our state to encourage, to support, to grow women candidates to be able to get to this point where they could run for governor. And now we have 3 women who hopefully will be in the runoff in November. I think that the reason that you're seeing 3 candidates for governor from 3 different parties all being women is because so many of the issues that we're talking about today are ones that women know very well. They have a lot of experience in, they have a lot of opinions about, and they know how to make things happen. So whether you're talking about climate change or whether you're talking about the lack of childcare in our community, whether you're talking about housing or you're talking about abortion rights, women are deeply familiar with all of these issues, and they want their voice heard.
Kafoury's mother, Gretchen Kafoury, was a trailblazer for women in Oregon politics. She served in the State House, Multnomah County Commission, and Portland City Council. She also helped found the Oregon chapter of the National Organization for Women.
I think about my mother, and how she would have reacted to this event. She 50 years ago was standing in front of the City Club in downtown Portland with a rolling pin in her hand, protesting the fact that women were not allowed in. And because she wanted women to be in the room when it happened, and now no matter how the election turns out in November, we will have another woman in the room where it happens.